All right, I think we're live for real now.
Sweet.
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since we had a guestless show.
It has been, and we did try to have a guest for this show, but that person is still traveling.
That's true.
They had a
Yeah,
very busy day.
they did have a really busy day. It's a pretty exciting day for the Legends community in general, I think.
It is a very exciting community, but also a very sad day
It's a sad
because
day.
if people are not aware, CVH is going to be streaming a whole lot less.
That's true. Where are people going to get their drops?
I don't know. Maybe Spanish Drop Guy.
Solid Age, good to see you in the chat, man. How's it going?
Well, hello, AJ. My favorite of all of the AJs.
I don't know how to say drop in Spanish.
I'm pretty sure it's just drop.
No way. No way. Sultar. All right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it's like a branding thing, though, right? Like Band-Aid is the name of Band-Aids, but you don't say like the Spanish equivalent of Band plus Aid. You just say Band-Aid.
That is true. That is true.
So I think a Twitch drop is like a branded thing.
That makes sense.
Maybe we should ask the Bethesda brand manager if that is the case.
I think that's a great question.
So yeah, if you have not heard the news from earlier today, CVH is going to be streaming a lot less, which has the potential to leave a big hole in the community. And yet, the community also got a brand new community manager.
Yeah, I think we've never been better off as a community than we are today. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, this is a guy who, through thick and thin, stuck with the game, streamed it when he wasn't making any money doing it, with the goal of fostering his own community around the game and of providing entertainment for people. And now he's going legit. He's like a gangster who hung up his hat to run a restaurant or something like that.
Right.
It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
It is certainly encouraging.
Absolutely.
I had to hop in like in between meetings at work just so that I
Yeah.
could say hi and congratulations, and I was doing it on my phone. But I did already start
Right.
trying to like jokingly poke the bear, and I
Yeah.
said, so CBH, where's our competitive scene and why is the game dying? And
Right.
what was the third joke I made? I forget, but it was basically all the stuff you always hear the community doomsayers say,
Right.
and it was mostly just a nod to like look, if you're having potential like downtrodden doomsayer-ish thoughts about the game, if you
Right.
think that Bethesda has abandoned it, like I see some people try to spread that FUD, if you will, this should be a very blatant, glaring statement that they have not abandoned, because they've now hired
Right.
somebody exclusively dedicated to the game, and they didn't
Exactly.
they didn't hire somebody who had no experience. They went and found, you
Right.
know, a pillar of the community to help foster it. And this is certainly somebody who is not just a pillar, but has expressed very explicit views on what he would like to see for the game going forward. Like, you
Exactly.
know exactly what you're getting out of this, and so I don't think that that's a partnership that either side would have been comfortable making unless they were going to be working on those things and addressing these things. Like, I would be
Right.
really excited about this move.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to doomsayer anything at this point.
I totally agree. It just, again, I think about Elder Scrolls Online and the slow burn, that game has achieved to get to where it's at now, and Legends seems to be taking a similar tact, and the expansion of the staff that's working on the game is, I mean, like, what more proof do you need, really? You know, CVH moved out there. This is a commitment both to him and to the community in general. Like, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting for a number of reasons. So,
Right.
you
Plus,
know,
we talk to CVH all the time, and maybe we can get more information out of him than we ever get out of
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's fair.
fucking Matt and AJ.
uh, if you guys want a quick sneak peek here, because
Yeah.
CVH is a good friend. After he
Right.
went and he appeared on the Bethesda stream today, he sent us over a little sneak
Yeah.
peek, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and share it.
Or,
So,
we don't want to get him fired. You sure you want to do this, man?
well, I'm just not gonna gonna talk, so I didn't verbally commit. I'm just gonna put it
Okay.
on screen.
Let's see those 6 spoilers he gave us.
Let's see these.
Pretty impressive stuff, really.
Yeah, I really like the 3rd bullet point there.
I agree. I mean, this roadmap for the future of the community, like those details, are where it's at. I love it.
Yeah, I cannot speak higher.
This is my favorite of our oncoming memes.
Yeah. One of these days, though, it's going to be technical difficulties sponsored by Tide Pods. Like, I'll put that up.
I need to record. It's been I don't know, a few weeks since I recorded a costume video. I'm gonna have to find a way to incorporate Tide Pods into my channel.
Right.
Although I don't know if you saw, but my channel recently, I got a bunch of sponsors.
I did see that. That was a really fantastic video. I highly recommend people check it out if they have not. I mean, it offended me on a deep and personal level because I was like 80% of those things, but yeah. No, I think soon for a video, maybe when Orc comes back from the dead again, maybe he's on Tide Pods or something.
He's a changed man. You know, he got his life together. He wears a suit now. He got a job. Maybe his profound addiction to Tide Pods leads him back into the streets.
Maybe.
Sounds like the sort of thing I could do.
But like a real assessment, like a real analysis for a moment, right? Like, CVH, one of the things that he's obviously talked about, and Pete has talked about, and AJ has talked about, is like competitive scene and how they want to foster it and do it correctly, and how that's all the little things that need to get done. I've never honestly like felt personally down about that, but I know that there's a big concern for people. But again, like,
absolutely,
the hiring of CVH says, like, hey, this is somebody who cared about that. He was an advocate for it, so you should probably be able to expect that. But what I think is going to be potentially like the nifty thing to look forward to that might not immediately like click or trigger with people is that they didn't just get somebody who knows the game. They got somebody who's been making quality content for a long time. And so, you know, the Elder Scrolls Legends, for example, like as an official thing, with the exception of you know, some of their expansion trailers, they haven't done anything like official on YouTube for the game, right? They don't have, you know, one of the feedbacks that we get is that, you know, Direwolf, for example, you know, doesn't do the developer videos, at least right now, that say like some of the other games do and things like that. But when you add somebody like CVH to your staff and has that kind of experience, I honestly look really forward to the kind of like official Bethesda community like driven quality content stuff. I think that's something to also be really excited for.
I agree completely. And we just got some information here that Solid Age provided. It says, I can tell you I have a 6-page competitive bid from a top tier company that we're reviewing next week. That is legit as fuck. That's awesome.
And then he used the Papa Bless emote. And I want to call that out because if you're in chat and you have bad eyes that are straining, that might look like Papa John's. But he, I assure you, does not mean Papa John's. Or
isn't that Papa John's guy kind of a racist?
Well, I mean, he's like stepping down from being CEO or something last time I heard. But
right on. And more confirmation here. CVH is going to continue all the content he makes is just be under the Bethesda banner. That is fantastic.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was trying to you know, get at, right? Is that I still think you're going to see some of that awesome CVH content. So like I wouldn't say like, oh, you know, the community lost something. You're still going to get it. It's just going to be, you know, under the official Bethesda banner, and then let's be honest, I'll probably have access to more resources, so it might even be, you know, cooler quality content. You know, CVH and I, oh sorry.
What just happened?
Oh, I was cutting you off. I was going to say CVH and I, and you as well. I know we've all had that conversation about how like none of us have any sort of like professional editor or anything, right? So
right. Yeah, we got Bucky and Sandra and you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like extra hosed. I need to start training Stark to edit my videos.
There you go. What
But
better reason to have children than for employment?
right, but I mean that was how the agriculture industry was built in my state. But
That's my plan to field a baseball team.
nice.
I get married in 3 months, man. We got to start thinking about these things. Yeah, I mean, CVH he went legit. That's just how I keep thinking about it. It's pretty fantastic. And see, I didn't know that he was going to continue to do all that stuff. So that is even better for the community, because I was worried that there was going to be a big hole here. But the fact that it's coming straight from Bethesda now is super exciting.
There was going to be a big hole, but CVH is going to fill it.
You know, it's kind of cool. Like, one of the things I like to do is like think about like where everybody who makes content in the community comes from, like what their background is as far as like what they do for a living. And it's interesting to think like you are a teacher and a government employee doing data stuff. I'm a mental health coordinator. CVH is a jazz musician. I don't know how many people know that. Like, all walks of life are coming together playing this game, and it's just super fantastic. Like, I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, like the Lions Club is, used to be for like our grandparents' generation in town, where people get together with a similar interest, a shared interest, but from all walks of life. I love it a lot.
Basically, we're like the Test Legends Freemasons. Can I get some Illuminati in the chat?
Is there an Illuminati icon?
There is actually an Illuminati emote, yeah.
Oh, nice. I found it.
Yeah.
Hey, Dragon Tamer Blade, welcome.
Hey!
No, Solid Age,
B2B.
we're not talking like it's a funeral. I'm just low energy today. Like, I've had some coffee, but it's just been a long day.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be down. Justin and I, before we went live, were both talking about we've kind of had a hell of a week. Lots of ups, lots of downs. I think we're just like emotionally drained. Like, work was very stressful, but to counterbalance that, my family won free Disney on Ice tickets, which is why I missed streaming last night, because I took my boys. So like, work was stressful, but we got to do that. But I also, like, on top of work being stressful, we had major snowstorms, and 3 out of the 5 days of this week I got stuck multiple times on the way to work. And then today all the snow melted, but there was a severe accident involving 2 cars hitting head-on on the highway, so I was still 20 minutes late to work. And then I also got this really awesome email about a cool opportunity in the near future that was part of the highs of the week.
That was a pretty amazing high. Yeah.
So it's just been all up and down, and I just think that we're a little drained, but it's not because we're not excited and we don't, love you guys.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of excitement in my life right now. And Ozymandias, I don't have classes for a few weeks. So I take weekend classes, like 24 hours a weekend, for like half of each semester, because I have to work full time. So
yeah.
I don't have another class for a little while. In fact, I had to reschedule one of my classes actually because of some plans I made for later in the month, or later in the spring. Some pretty exciting plans. Some Also, can we get Chad to agree that Charmer is basically Ziggy from the Ziggy comic strip? I feel like I've been slacking on mentioning how much this like rings true for me, but I've always, like, other than Calvin and Hobbes, which is just like amazing, and The Far Side, which I have a personal like connection to, like I think that I think Ziggy is the funniest comic strip in history, and it is Charmer. Charmer is Ziggy.
I can see where you're coming from, right? Like, I'm on board with the Ziggy comparison, but growing up, my family always referred to me as Eeyore, which is also pretty close. Because I have a very, like, dry delivery, and I'm usually always talking about how things are horrible, but then I'm just like, oh, well. Like, my family for a long time would call me Eeyore. Like, I would say something at, like, a family get-together or something, and, like, I'd get a cousin who'd go, oh, well, I'll find it later. Like, because I lost my tail or something, right? Like, I would always...
Yeah. That's good times, dude. I'm trying to find the list of things you said we should talk about this episode.
So I mean, we kind of covered it. CVH is our new community manager, and that's super exciting. The other things that I wanted to discuss were, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Journey Conscription combo.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And Tide Pods. Like, I legitimately put it on the list, but I wanted to talk to you about Journey and Conscription because I've been seeing a lot of posts about it, hearing a lot of talk about it, and I wanted to see how you felt about it because I think there's a lot of good and bad with it, and I think that people are missing the good there.
So, you know, you called it when we were talking at some point the new Unstoppable Rage, right? Which is interesting because Unstoppable Rage like created like one, arguably two new deck archetypes, right? Like in Rage Archer and Rage Warrior, and I mean people fooled around with Rage Crusader from time to time. I mean I've played Rage Crusader and had a blast, but it created a couple new decks, right? That like fundamentally did not exist beforehand, right? My concern with Journey plus Conscription, although I kind of had a similar concern with Journey in the first place, but now it's amplified, is that this doesn't create new decks necessarily. What it does is I don't even really know how to articulate this. It's sort of like Black Lotus, right? Like why? I mean, there are decks that aren't gonna run Journey plus Telesis Conscription, but like almost every deck will benefit from it. Almost, not everyone.
Yeah.
And just like every deck benefits from Black Lotus. And I'm not a super big fan of auto include type cards. Now don't get me wrong, like with Support Mage, I've beaten Journey Conscription decks. But I mean, like that deck is intentionally running a bunch of memory wraiths and a bunch of, you know, now I'm running Wabbajack, I'm running all sorts of stuff to try to disrupt that, and I'm doing it intentionally because I don't want to actually run Journey Conscription myself, just because I'm super contrarian like that. I don't know, like I'm just not super amped about it. I will say, like, so Ian Bitts last week recommended that I play Warrior 7's Mill Warrior, and I have had an absolute blast playing that deck, and it doesn't run Conscription, but it does, like, it exists to abuse Journey, right?
Yeah.
Journey and Shrine of Namira. I don't know, they're just incredibly powerful cards. I don't think they're too powerful. What I think is it makes me look forward to when we start rotating sets.
Sure. So here, let me try to sell you on literally everything you just said, but the positives of those, right?
Sure.
So, one, yes, they're neutral, right? And I can understand that is like further making it auto-includes in many different archetypes, but it's not the first time we've had it, right? If you played any sort of control deck during like core set, right? So closed beta, open beta, etc., like you ran Odaving, right?
Yes.
Since Heroes of Skyrim, up until very, very recently, regardless of whether you were running Scout or something else, like you probably threw in Parthenax just because of the strength of the card, right?
Sure.
Even if you're not in Endurance, it gave you the opportunity to potentially high roll Solitaire and run the loop. So this isn't necessarily something new. It's certainly more powerful than those, but it should be because it's 2 cards and one of them requires you to spend 7 to basically do nothing, right? So
that's true.
So there is that. But here's why I actually like that they're neutral. When you consider whatever the like most powerful control decks have been historically, if you will, they've basically kind of been the apex predator for other control decks and then made other control decks not viable. So Control Mage during core set at the height of it, like you basically couldn't play another control deck because Control Mage would just stomp you. Like it was the apex of greed. And then we had Hissgrove come out, and then Scout became the apex predator for a bit. And then we had, after Fall of the Dark Brotherhood, there was a period where it was Monk. But whatever the case may be, there always ended up being just like one control deck. We experienced this for a long period after Heroes of Skyrim with, again, Ramp Scout. So the reason for that is because those cards are typically, and those decks are typically, filled with attribute cards that are like class specific or at least color specific that kind of forces you into it. So during core set, Manticore and Marak were just too much.
Sure.
You know, with Scout, it's Solitaire. It's too much, right? So by going this path with neutral cards, it at least, this is something like, yes, it's gonna go in every control deck, but to me, I feel good because now I feel like I can play a control deck of any class. I don't feel like if I want to play control, I have to play this control deck. I honestly feel like I can play any, and then I can choose, right? So even though these two cards feel really heavy, I can then choose how I want to attack the problem based on the class. So like Mage, for example, like you're saying, now you're not running the combo, but you can run things like Memory Wraith when cast into time to combat it, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And the deck, frankly, would be better with the combo.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure, it would be better with the combo. But what I'm saying is Mage has this opportunity for you to try to combat it by making your opponent not be able to use it. Whereas you can go to the other end of the spectrum and you could play something like Archer or Assassin. Like Assassin might be the best example. So like I've been playing Ultra Assassin with the combo, and it's still a control deck and very much a control shell, but my goal is to rifle through my deck at twice the speed of my other opponents to play the combo first, right? So like I'm choosing the consistency route instead of the defensive route, and then there are other decks that can do things differently. Like you could throw it in Rage Archer, and Rage is really more of a, I'm going to gain 1,000,000 life and then just survive till I draw, as opposed to, you know, so like it gives you, each of the control decks can still have like their own independent identity, but by giving them this like neutral win condition, and I get it, it's the same neutral win condition throughout, and it can feel like kind of unfun sometimes, but I like that I can now have my choice of control decks and attack things differently, where for much of the game's history before, I just had to play a control deck and there was like just the one or you got stomped. So like to me, I see that like positive side to it personally.
I can see that. I can see what you're saying, definitely. I am concerned about a swing towards decks that routinely beat these decks, right? Like we saw the backlash to the popularity of Scout, right? And I feel like the same sorts of decks are going to be good against these decks.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It turns out those decks were already good. Because,
like... I know, but people weren't playing them as much, and I don't like playing against fucking aggro decks, dude.
Oh, I don't think the answer is aggro, Justin. I think that the aggro is... Well, I think we're going to see the return of the blue mid-range.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was going with that. Like, I was thinking of Sorcerer, and I was thinking of... frankly, Ultra Assassin's a pretty great choice right now for a lot of reasons. But maybe a last gasp assassin.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. There was a time for a couple of months where like blue mid-range was king. So when I say blue mid-range, I mean you could play sorcerer, you could play assassin, or you could play mage. All of them were very good, but you played those in mid-range. I still think that that's incredibly good right now, because they give you a chance to basically win any game. But if it becomes, you know, too control heavy, you can kind of outvalue them in the... Basically, you can create a board state where they can't afford to play Journey, right? Like, you make it so that they can't afford to spend 7 to do nothing. And you can also run Memory Wraith if it really becomes a problem. So, like, I think that the blue mid-range decks really have the upper hand in that matchup.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you definitely give me a lot to think about. Because I have to admit, I didn't have super strong feelings about it either way. But if anything, you've increased my ambivalence, which is probably for the best, right? Like, anything that like I'm super offended by or super for, like, is probably unhealthy for, you know, for the game.
Yeah, and that's... Look, I don't expect you to say like it's good for the game or it's the greatest thing ever, but as long as I can make you just hate it a little bit less, then I feel like I've done my job. Just like Unstoppable Rage. Back to that comparison.
That's true. Although I've done a complete 180 on Unstoppable Rage. Like, I actually think Unstoppable Rage is good for the game now.
Yeah, I know it's a slow burn, but I got you there.
Yeah, well, I mean, this actually speaks a lot.
I'll die on that hill.
I believe it. Dude. That's because it's got 46 breakthrough damage coming your way. Yeah, so let's check out some chat comments. Got Dragon Tamer Blade says, I do think an important point as far as the combo goes, we've seen nerfs before for cards that were arguably perfectly fine, but were either unfun to play against or too much of an auto-include, beside things like Javelin and Bolt. You can see Journey Conscription hitting the same boat in the future. I don't think they're going to get nerfed. I think that this is just the environment we're going to live in until they rotate out.
I mean, if they get nerfed, it'll be a subtle, like, Conscription will go to 12 or something. You know what I mean? Like
12 would make complete sense to me, actually.
Like, that's the kind of nerf I could see, but I don't think they're going to make the core of the cards go away, because the core is what creates the interesting interaction.
Yeah. I mean, Journey to Sovngarde came out in the Skyrim set, right?
Yes.
So let's imagine, like, let's say that set rotation becomes a thing, which I assume eventually will happen. How long do you think it'll be before Skyrim rotates out?
In all honesty, we're probably looking at like a year and a half.
I don't think
Skyrim would rotate out until we've seen at least 2 other pack-based expansions. I'll put it that way. I think that's the magic number. I don't think that there are enough like cards. I mean, unless they produce a lot of other story and mini stuff along the way. But I think that right now, the sweet spot is that like once you get to the 3rd pack expansion, and I'm not even saying they're going to do it then. I'm just saying I think that's when you would start considering like, okay, we've hit a critical mass for the pool. Let's start, you know, rotating some stuff out.
That's fair. That is fair.
So,
what's a control deck you don't run Journey in because it's not good enough? Can you imagine one?
Well, it's interesting because like I barely ran Journey in any of my control decks before, unless they had a lot of cycle, until Conscription, right? Like my it's so interesting. My thoughts on Journey in a vacuum are so wildly different than in a world where Conscription exists. So to me, I know that a lot of people will say like Journey is the problem, but to me it's honestly it's the both. Like I don't think that either one is a problem unless the existence of the other one is there.
Right.
But if you're asking like in all honesty, I don't think that you would run it in support mage other than as a Hail Mary. Like I'm not going to fault support mages that run it, but I don't think that it does a whole lot for you because you don't have a lot of summon effects and you don't.
I never did.
Yeah.
Like the only time I wanted Journey and support mage was in the mirror, and then I could get it off of college.
Yeah.
And that's just because I didn't want to get decked.
Yeah. So like maybe maybe some versions of ramp decks, right? Like the ramp style, like I know they've fallen out of favor lately, right? But if I were to imagine a world where either Ramp Scout or Ramp Warrior started to make a comeback, I could see an argument made for not running it in there, because you ramp up to play your big threats, and if those haven't already won you the game, then like trying to do that to get even more big things, like your big things didn't work the first time, why are they going to work a second time? I don't know. Like again, like the cards are so like good right now that it's hard to imagine not including them, but like these are the kinds of decks where I would buy the argument for potentially.
Do you see anything in the meta right now that should be nerfed a little bit? Maybe an archetype, not necessarily a specific card.
Honestly, I haven't really seen anything that like super jumps out at me. I haven't played as much this season because of like the bugs and soul crippling depression, but in the time that I have played, I haven't really felt like anything was like unhealthy. I certainly haven't felt like anything was overrepresented. I've seen a very healthy mix of you know, I've seen warrior mid-range, I've seen sorcerer mid-range, I've seen singleton decks. I lost a game the other night to Spellsword Control, and I don't know if the person did it on purpose or if it just was a coincidence, but it was such a fantastic, like, it's the kind of like game where I lost, but I respect how I lost. Like 15 cards deep into the game, I'd only seen one copy of each card. I was dead set and I was playing against Singleton Spellsword because I'd only seen one copy of each card, right? And
Yeah.
then right at critical moments where I start making plays because I'm like, okay, he's used his edict, he's used his cast into time. You know what I mean? Like I'm basing things because of the information given. So like I make some moves, and then I get hit with 2 more Edicts of Azura. And I was like, what? What just happened? Right? Like I respect, but so like I saw Spell Sword Control. Like that's the long version of me saying I saw Spell Sword Control. I've seen a bunch of different things when I have been playing on the ladder. Nothing feels. The only time I felt like bad was when the bugs were present. I was routinely running into Bone Colossus, and I know that's not everyone's experience, but like I was routinely running into it, and I was not happy.
That's fair. That was my experience too.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would agree. I don't see anything that needs to get nerfed. I have my eye on Nimira's Shrine as a card that just seems grossly powerful compared to a lot of other things.
Yeah, Nimira's Shrine is really good.
Yeah.
I remember when the stuff was spoiled, I remember saying to you that the thing, before we'd even seen what the cards did, the thing that I was most interested in was seeing what's that non-unique support in neutral, because we hadn't seen like really a card like that in a while.
Right, an alter. Yeah.
So
I mean, like, I have to say, like, of all the cards that I've seen, like, I mean, I know that Conscription's having a huge impact on the meta right now, but I think Nimira's Shrine is the card that will have the biggest impact on the future of the game.
So,
Voice of Balance has turned out to be not as powerful as I thought it was going to be. I still think it's really strong, but it's another card that, you know, its power level will increase as ways to trigger it become more available.
I actually think Voice of Balance is as powerful as we thought, and just that I just think that people are timid to play the cards because they think that they're watering down the deck too much. I've heard several people say things like I was playing a Battle Mage deck the other day that was based on Aine's list, but I made some changes. And, you know, I had some people in chat saying, like, well, why would you include Skyforge? It just kind of, like, feels so bad, right? And normally Skyforge is, like, not the greatest card, right?
Right.
But in a world where Voice of Balance exists, Skyforge is one of the few supports that easily lets you trigger it on curve.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do think that warping your deck to support Voice of Balance is a totally reasonable, if not good, idea.
Yeah.
I haven't seen nearly as much as I guess I thought I was going to.
Yeah, and I think it's just because people are timid.
That's fair. Doppelganger's still eluding me as far as ways to just break the game.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be... I think that that might be, like, the journey of this set. That's, like, okay-ish now, but will be really, really good later.
Right.
But yeah, like, I think Voice of Balance is just, like, that good. Somebody in chat, I believe it was Ozymandios, was asking about Shrine. I think he said, like, Shrine's only basically in one deck right now, and I want to clarify that's not the case. There are actually 2 or 3. I know that there's a version of like Market Archer and Market Assassin that run it as well. I know that it's in the Warrior, the Doomcrag Warrior deck, which I actually might try testing tonight. I haven't played it yet. I've seen a lot of other people play it, but I think I want to give it a run.
It's hilariously fun, I have to say.
Yeah, and then it's also played in, like, similar to the Market, like, Action Assassin, but instead the, like, Thieves Guild Fence OTK deck also plays the Mirror Shrine. So it's actually played in a couple.
It's just, I mean, it's a really interesting card. What about Market Minge? I'm not familiar with Market Minge.
I don't recommend buying your Minge on the market, I'll say that.
That's fair. That is fair. I think that's what... I digress.
Yeah, we've made it this far without a presidential joke. Let's not...
Oh, God. I wasn't even thinking about it. I spent all day reading about those 13 indictments, and now I had managed to forget about it, and here we are again.
You forgot about Sales Through Stormy Daniels, and I guess there's now some Playmate alleging it as well.
Yeah, there's the... Hold on. Yeah, I don't know how to turn that into a Legends name, but yeah, Karen McDougal. Yeah. Can we stop for a minute and recognize the fact that 13 people, Russian nationals, were indicted today for interfering in on our election?
Yeah.
God damn, dude. They're the fucking Thalmors. They're tying it all together.
They're Mournhold traitors.
Yeah. Well, no, they're more. Well, yep.
Because I'm on your side, or whatever it is that he says.
Absolutely. America.
America.
Yeah, it's good times. So, yeah, you know, I have to say, like, just with the Madhouse collection, where people were complaining about what the cards were, you know, the impact they thought the cards would have on the meta. I think we're seeing now that Direwolf and Bethesda knew exactly what they were doing when they released the 12 cards in the Forgotten Hero collection. Like, these cards are all seeing play. I mean, the one seeing the least play is Doppelganger, but I've seen Sly Marshblade, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if Sly Marshblade, right? I think if Sly Marshblade can find a place, I think all these cards can find a place. And Doppelganger is just somebody with too much free time against the AI, you know, away from being part of a broken combo.
Doppelganger is just somebody that I used to know, because he was a doppelganger, and then he became somebody else when he entered play.
Man, what the fuck?
What? We can't make one-hit wonder jokes?
No, we totally can't. You know that I don't know why this reminds me of that, but I have a jury duty summons for. I have to call the night of the 27th to see if I have to show up the day of the 28th. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. I would really love to serve on a jury.
Yeah, you can't though.
No, I mean I probably can't, but I do just want to say that like the odds of me convicting someone are virtually non-existent. Like, you're gonna have to have done some pretty hellacious shit for me to want to send you to prison.
Yeah, you want to know what's really funny?
Yeah.
So, like, for those of you who don't know, a long time ago, the very first time I went to college, I went to a local community college, and I got a 2-year degree in criminal justice with a specialization in law enforcement. And then I worked for a while for my local police department, doing like dispatch, lean, taking 911 calls, doing a bunch of stuff. And so, like, somebody with a criminal justice background and a strong desire to do that, and, you know, again, I'm sadly altruistic, even though I'm also a nihilist, so somehow I want to help the community even though it doesn't matter. Even with all of that, right? It would take an awful lot for me to convict anybody as well, right? You would think that somebody like me would be like, rah, rah, lock them up, but I am a very, very strong believer in the term beyond a reasonable doubt, and you've got to really prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt, because I can find the doubt in just about anything.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I hear you, and there is definitely that aspect of it, too. I feel like I would think pretty critically about it, but even if I knew someone was guilty, if I didn't think the crime deserved people to go to prison, I just would vote to acquit.
I know what it's called, Nicole. Nicole says that's called depression. I'm fully aware of my hang-ups. Thank you very much. But it's also called nihilism.
Yeah. Good times. You gonna go see Black Panther this weekend?
I'm trying to. My brother-in-law, we asked 2 weeks ago to babysit, and he said yes. Yeah. And is now trying to back out at the last minute because his buddies called and want to do something fun. Right. And so he's trying to get out of watching his nephews and go do something fun.
Probably gonna go see Black Panther.
Yeah, it's probably... So, like, and like, we're trying to be cognizant of that, so we're like, okay, well, what about, like, legitimately noon on Sunday? You know, like, what's the most likely, like, time for you that still allows you to sleep in, but you won't be out, like, having fun, and, you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to, like, to be accommodating, even though we already locked this down 2 weeks ago. And, no, he's still trying to get out of it, so...
That's funny.
Tyler, if you watch the podcast, if you're listening, or if you're hearing this in the future, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, Tyler.
It's good advice in general. I was talking to a client a couple of days ago, and I quoted Bill and Ted's "Be excellent to each other." I was like, I knew there's no chance that they knew who Bill and Ted were, or knew anything about their excellent adventure or bogus journey, but I just felt like I had to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw me on Twitter, but somebody sent me an IM at work the other day, and they created a backup of a table to give me access to because I needed to do some comparisons, and they named it Pink Awesome Hist, and the Hist was short for history. So they're like, nice. I made you a table, Pink Awesome Hist, you have full access, and all I wrote back was, may the Hist aid me, and they laughed, but I know that they had no idea what I was talking about.
Dude, I missed it, but I see it now. That is pretty legit.
Yeah, it just makes me happy. Stuff like that.
No, totally. Oh, man. I want to talk about... So, we joke around a lot on this show about knowing secret stuff. But, we do actually know something secret that I really want to share. And I know we can't. It really bums me out.
Yeah. Especially, in the... current state. Well, hold on, let me look. Is Solid Age still in chat? Shh, nobody tell Solid Age. No, just kidding. We can't.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about that.
Maybe soon.
I mean, I honestly think that, like I said at the beginning of the show, this is the best day that the Legends community has ever had. CVH getting hired full-time at Bethesda, getting moved out there is a huge step forward, and there is some really cool shit coming out, not content-wise, but well, I mean that too, but fuck, there's just some really cool shit happening. This, they were really supporting this game. It's so exciting to be a part of this right now. Yeah, we said it at the start of the broadcast. If you were kind of down about the state of the game, there is no reason to be at this point. Just hiring CVH is already a statement. And they keep teasing lots of really cool things that are going to be coming our way. The big thing is now that CVH is there, somebody in chat said that means we have to get some actual, Test Legends gear, floating our way. Now that CVH is there, maybe we can get more than just T-shirts for our tournaments, which I know is, the running joke for a long time, the Pete Hines T-shirt. Right. Maybe we can get, some stuffed animal plushies. Good times. Or Tide Pods? Themed Tide Pods?
Yes.
I like it. Oh my god, somebody typed Malibu Barbus. Oh man. Easily the best fucking person who ever comments in our chat. Oh god. Oh yeah. That's what's up. I mean, there are a lot of cool marketing opportunities for Legends. I would love to. I would get a little Argonian tree minder, plushie or something like that. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I know that when he was on the Bethesda stream today, CVH. If you're not familiar, CVH has Polka as his official mascot. Polka is this little polka dotted seal, I believe. Okay. If I remember right, it's a seal, and it's cute and adorable, and there are a lot of people saying we want to see Polka cards and Polka things and whatever, but that was CVH's brand thing, and so while I think that would be cool, I don't think that that's uniquely Bethesda. So what I want is a compromise, right? I want them, in the spirit of Polka the Seal, to just put out more Horkers. I want a Raging Horker t-shirt. I want a Raging Horker plushie. I want them to understand that Raging Horker gives me a Raging Horker. You know what I mean? And I want more Horker cards. That's what I want.
That was an appropriate amount of setup for that joke. I appreciate that.
It's not even a joke. That's a legitimate want, Justin. It just also happens to be funny. Give me more Horkers.
It's just also a dick joke. I get it. It's cool. Ray Barker just subscribed.
I know. I was just typing hype for Ray Ray because I didn't want to cut you off verbally.
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm just giving you shit. I know my attitude seems kind of shit tonight. I'm just exhausted.
No, I mean it's just because you're kind of a horrible human being, but
Absolutely. I'm just one of the worst, frankly.
yeah. You didn't practice your mindful meditation before stream like normal. Instead, you took a nap.
That is so true. I did. I spent this afternoon napping. Yeah. I got out of work early and I went home and I told Charmer, I'll talk to you later. I'm going to sleep for a while.
Oh.
Yeah. It's good times, man.
Yeah, so I want to kind of address... So somebody, Chef Kush in chat says, what's everyone's go-to frustration game when they tilt at cards?
Heroes of the Storm.
Yep. Mine lately has been Fortnite. Like,
Yeah.
I'll play Legends, but then I decompress with Fortnite, which is weird. You'd think that game would make me more anxious, but I'm, like, kind of, like, calm when I play Fortnite. It's weird.
Yeah. I play Solo Arena, too, if I don't want to stop playing Legends, but I want to, like, win with the ridiculous card I feel like playing. I'll play some Solo Arena. Speaking of Arena, this is Chaos Arena Weekend, which is my favorite kind of... Like, honestly, my favorite alternate game mode. I'm looking forward to doing some of that tomorrow night.
Now people are talking about plushies they want, and Nicole says a young mammoth plushie. That would be pretty cool. And then you could do the special edition, like, big mammoth as well or something. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like an opportunity was missed with the Bleak Coast Troll or whatever it's called. Not to name it, like... middle-aged mammoth. Adult mammoth.
Yeah. Or just mammoth.
Yeah, that would be pretty decent.
I want it now, officially. Like, it needs to be like 10 or 12 cost and just absurd, but I just want a mammoth.
Yeah. You know how, this is sort of related, I was thinking about this. So yellow has a whole lot of like playable 4-drops, more than it can play in any single deck, right?
And kind of 5-drops as well.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny because I feel like in any other color, Loyal House Carl would be a staple.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
If Loyal House Carl was an endurance card, I would run it all the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Loyal House Carl is an exceptionally strong card that sees absolutely no play.
Yeah, it's
just the only time I ever saw it on the ladder was when Praetorian Commander Mage was all over the place.
Yeah, I was gonna say you run it in like that like prophecy heavy control mage or whatever, but otherwise, like, how do you justify that when Javelin exists and now cast into time, and you've got like Knight of the Hour for control decks, which like is just better at being a speed bump and like
Loyal House Carl Weathers. Ray Barker says Loyal House Carl Weathers. Good times. Yeah, I agree. But you know what I was thinking? So I think that, you know, one of the things that I like to think about, and one of the things we've talked about on the show is like when new sets come out, one of our favorite things to do is see what parts of the color pie like are being assigned new abilities, right? Like when something new is introduced in the game, what colors are getting it, so we can get a better idea of like what each color and attribute can do. And you know, our first banish card was in blue on Memory Wraith, and it was banishing great discard piles. And our first banish-based removal is Cast into Time, but we kind of had one in the Black Dragon in Willpower before, right? Which is part of the reason I think that, you know, I think we talked about when we revealed Memory Wraith that banish-based removal spells, I was advocating for them being mage card, like a dual attribute card. Like, I think I spoke about a Cast into Time that was just a mage card. And I'd like to see like a 4-drop, and I know this is going to step all over that attribute's colors, but I'd like to see a 4-drop 4/4 in Willpower that banishes creatures when it slays them.
Yeah, I actually was about to suggest the same thing, but I was going to suggest that actually be Endurance. And here's
you think so?
Yeah, and here's why. I don't think that Banish as a mechanic itself is going to be color pie specific. I know it is right now because we have limited cards. Right. But the thing that kind of tips it to me for my way of thinking, is that they introduced banished cards, but they attached them to mechanics that were already inherent in those attributes. So like
That's true.
intelligence already interacted with the graveyard in numerous ways, right? Like you have last gasp stuff, and like they just got excavate, and
I got excavate in the same set as memory wraith, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But like there was another thing that was interacting with the grave, and I'm drawing a blank now. But like, so intelligence was already like doing those like graveyard interactions, right?
Well, it's got iron. It's got iron.
Yeah, well, the iron is in mage, but I mean there was a base blue thing that I forgot. Technically, I guess maybe elusive schemer in some ways or whatever. Stealer of secrets. There you go. That's what I was trying to think of. Ian Bits hit me in the channel with it, right? So intelligence was already kind of doing some of that. And then when you go to the willpower side, yeah, we just got cast into time, but cast into time is literally like piercing javelin plus black dragon, right? They just added banish to it. So I would like to see them do similar things and just keep things true to the other attributes. So I think that a slay creature that banishes something, right, should exist in endurance. I think that a agility creature that, like, say, banishes on pilfer or something. And when I say banish, it could be, you know, a card in the graveyard, a card in play, a card in hand, whatever the case may be, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, the banish mechanic interacts with this way, right? So, like, you give agility pilfer, and then strength could be, you know, maybe when you have the health lead, maybe when you crack a rune, right? Like, do the Nord thing, like, I break a rune, so I banish something. I think that all of those, you know, I think all those attributes have the room to get banish in some way, shape, or form, but still keep it, like, true to their identity.
I like it. Chef Kush writes, green creature that has pilfer destroy damage to enemy minion. I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
It would have to be, like, small stat-wise, because that's crazy powerful if you can keep it alive.
Like a 1/2 for 2?
Yeah, something like that. Even 1/2. It might even need to be like a 1/2 for 3, if I'm being honest, because like that is the ability to like recurring. Because you have to understand, pilfer can trigger for multiple things, right? So.
Right. Oh yeah, this would go straight into the same deck that runs
like Archer's Gambits and crossbows. Exactly. You know what I mean? You have to remember some of that stuff. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not keen on banishing actions from my opponent's hand. I have to admit, like, before Hollow Death Priest was a card, I was super against, like, the idea of something like that. Since Hollow Death Priest's release, I've actually turned around on this thought, and I feel like that card, at least in particular, is fine. If actually I think it's good for the game in a way. But I'm not, I don't know, man. Anything that approaches discard, it just makes me uncomfortable.
I especially don't like the approaching discard on a summon effect. Like, you're giving somebody a body and neutralizing a card before that they've had a chance to like respond. Like, if they're gonna do more hand stuff, I'd almost prefer that it was like an action, right? Like, it's just like a 1-for-1, like, not tempo oriented. I mean, that's just like my initial gut feeling. I'm not, because the other thing about summon effects, and like, you've seen some people try to abuse it. I know I was doing it for a bit, like with the Fun Police thing. If it's a summon effect, then you have to immediately start talking about A Night to Remember, Dark Rebirth.
Ulfric's Uprising.
Yeah, all sorts of shenanigans. And there's like almost no... Like, it wasn't very good, but I can tell you that the times that I got it to work, my opponents were not having fun. Where I was playing what I was calling Fun Police Sorcerer for a bit right after... Clockwork City, and it was like Death Priest and Mechanar. So like there's not a worse feeling than like I just made all the creatures in your hand go away, and then I made it so the next 3 creatures you would have drawn are now gone. Because I just keep Mechanaring as well. Like, it's that kind of prevention and disruption I just don't think is good on a large scale.
Makes sense. How do you feel about like a blue creature? Well, okay, let me ask you this. What color and cost is there's a card in Hearthstone I saw somebody play not too long ago. Gnome Veratu. It's 2/3. It banishes basically the top card of your opponent's deck. Where do you put that card?
I put that card at Thieves Guild Shadowfoot.
It doesn't feel yellow to me. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, but what I'm saying is that that already exists. It's Thieves Guild Shadowfoot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a little different. It replaces it with the card draw effect, and I mean, it's a much more complicated, card. I guess.
Well, but in my opinion, it's like better than that other card. Like it replaces with the card draw effect, but it's a card draw effect that might do 2 more damage. And if you have a Withered Hand Cultist, then they might have to pay for it. And it's not just banish the card, but it's outright stolen, so you can use it as an advantage. So like, I mean, if you're just talking about like where in the color pie you put that card,
yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah. Because I'll be honest, Thieves Guild Shadowfoot has never felt particularly like a yellow card until I think about all the other yellow stuff that steals, and it always kind of feels like the weirdest part of their color pie.
I don't think it's. I kind of like that it's in willpower, because when I think about things like arresting somebody or stealing somebody, it's like I have more will than you, right? Like I overwhelmed you with my will, I guess. Yeah, I think that if you're gonna just like banish the top card of a deck, maybe willpower, maybe strength, right? Because strength is some of that like rule setting / breaking the rules.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe I don't think it feels right in agility.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't think it really feels right in intelligence either. I know I keep going back to like maybe endurance. Like in my head, maybe it's not banish the card, but like I keep thinking like maybe you mummify the top card.
I can see that. Malibu Barbas asks, do you ever think we'll see an action that banishes all creatures in the opponent's discard pile? Yes, I assume we'll eventually get that card.
No, he says banishes all creatures in the opponent's deck.
Yeah, but then he corrected himself.
Oh. Well, yeah, we already have it to discard pile. It's called Memory Wraith.
Right, but he wants an action, not a creature.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I'm being really snarky, and I apologize. I'm not trying to.
No, I mean you're not being snarky. You're being worse than snarky. Here's the fun thing about Justin. Sometimes he says things, and then I respond with snark, and then he apologizes. Like, like we were sending something in messages back and forth, and he said something to me, and I was like, that offended me, and he's like, oh man, I'm really sorry that offended you. And I'm like, no, nothing offends me. You can chill out.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fun and interactive show. Should we take some questions from the audience?
I mean, sure. We kind of already have been.
Yeah, that's true.
We unofficially transitioned a little bit ago.
Rock and roll. Do you know the band Snarky Puppy? No, I know the band Skinny Puppy because I did drugs in the 90s. Who's Snarky Puppy?
I can tell you this already. I don't like the band Snarky Puppy. Puppies can't be snarky, man. They're a good boy.
They are good boys. Sandra has explained to me recently the difference between puppers and doggos and what else, Sandra? Puppers, doggos. That's it? Oh, yeah. Justin, do you have any initial thoughts on MTG Arena? My response is that I agreed to an NDA. And I think it's a pretty interesting NDA.
I am not in the beta. I have not signed any NDAs, and I can tell you that I know multiple people who are in the beta, and they all seem to relatively enjoy it thus far.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like if Magic was to simplify its MTGO client dramatically and make it pretty to look at and add some cool music, it seems like that'd be a good time. Best worst card in the game?
Tyrell Forager. Especially in premium, it's OP.
I mean, Studium Headmaster has the potential for doing some really insane shit, I guess.
I mean, Somerset Orrery is part of an OTK deck.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Snarky Puppy is phenomenal. If you like instrumental groovy music with a jazz influence.
What I
sure
like
thing.
is people who respect dogs, Pete. All right?
Yeah, that's fair. What's the worst card that could be made into a plushie? Do you know what a Fifi is?
No, he said dog. What's the worst card? Sorry, you said Fifi and I thought dog. What's the worst? Dude, I need more coffee. Don't judge me.
No, dude, me too. Worst card that can be made into a plushie? That 0 cost 0/1 goblin that gets +2/+1, +2/+0 on your turn.
I think that the worst card that could be made into a plushie would be an Iron Atronach.
I feel like that would be amazing, and I would definitely have one.
Yeah, but a plushie's supposed to be soft and cuddly, and it's just going to be hard and pointy. It is the Iron Throne of chairs.
You know, I recently changed my in-game title that I use. This is the third title I've ever used in this game, I think. I could be mistaken, but I think it's only the third one. I used, so now I'm the Ironmonger because I slew the Iron Whale twice in one game. And before that I was the Animal Lover, just because I like animals. And before that I used Director of Despair when I played Altar of Despair decks. I feel like there was one other one.
Yeah. I'm slowly grinding Centurion finally, and when I get that I'll probably switch to that for a bit, but normally I just rock the Creator.
I have 3 out of 100 on that.
I do want to say, I think I'm up to like 24 or 25 now. I've been just playing casually on breaks at work.
Yeah.
But I will say there's no better feeling than when you're playing against like Ramp Scout that's trying to outgreed you and you're playing mono neutral, and then you drop Mundus Stone and Journey on one turn and then Conscription on the following and watch the Ramp Scout player concede. It does feel pretty good.
I remember you excitedly sent me a message on Twitter about doing that.
Yeah, I was really excited. It's also exciting. I don't think I messaged you about this one, but I had a Prophecy Battle Mage player concede to me as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know what? Actually, when I have played Dwemer decks, even if they're not mono neutral, when I've played Dwemer decks, I've consistently beat Prophecy Battle Mage. I don't know why, but it's
I'm actually
always...
not playing any Dwemers other than the Mechanical Ally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's always felt like a good matchup to me for inexplicable reasons.
I'm playing just like lots of prophecies, like Dank Harvesters and things, and then Fact Totems and Altar, but in mono.
Dank Harvester is a really strong card, man. I find myself more and more attracted to that card as time goes on. Wayne McPain asks, since Warrior 7's Self-Mill Warrior deck came out, I was wondering if there are any other new deck archetypes out there that have yet to be discovered. Do you think there are any archetypes undiscovered in the current card pool? What cards do you think it would utilize? I mean, almost certainly there are, I would say. As far as what cards they would utilize. I mean, you need to take a look at like really powerful effects that like seem awkward, right? And find ways to break them, you know. An example of a really powerful effect in my mind is like Trial of Flame, right? I've never seen that card played. It's, what is it, from Clockwork City? But if you can find a way to break its symmetry, it seems like it could be really strong, right? There are a lot of cards like that that just need the right setup in order to be really good, you know? Like, a lot of the cards that are in, like, Staples and Rage Archer weren't playable because nobody had collectively put the pieces together, and Rage didn't exist yet to make all those pieces work together. Individually, those are not all very, you know, super strong, overpowered cards. They just have a lot of synergy like that. Same thing with Warrior 7's deck. Like, that deck just is very, very streamlined to do one fairly ridiculous thing.
Yeah. I also think there are undiscovered decks. I think the official answer is I don't know what cards would go in them. That's why it's undiscovered. It's like an uncharted map. Right. You know, or an uncharted island. Like, the minute you have a map to an uncharted island, it's now charted. But the card that I routinely find myself coming back to, there's a card that I, even in core set, like, speaking to what Justin's talking about, very, very powerful effect. Dramora Marcanaz. Yeah. Someday, we're gonna see that thing like do something really, really cool. Like, it is a very, very powerful effect.
Yeah.
It just hasn't found the right home yet. So like I'm routinely like kind of brainstorming what to do with that.
I mean, I totally agree with you about Tremor Martinez. It's an incredibly powerful card that just, you know, like the only deck I run it in is Support Crusader, and it's not at its best there.
Yeah.
Other cards. So I'm going through these now, just seeing like what is atrociously powerful and not played. I can imagine a world where Fallen Estuary Reaver sees a ton of play. It needs the right cards to work with it, but yeah.
I mean, in a different world, like closed beta, for example, I may have ran Fireball and Fallen Estuary Reaver.
Yeah, that's a 12 Magica lane clear.
That also like pings the other side, and I mean, I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying I did do it.
Dude, a lot of things were good in closed beta. I was ranked Legend rank 1 consistently with trash can fires of decks in closed beta. Yeah. One of the first things CVH told me the first time we were talking was that he when he started playing, he just went and net decked, and he like, I saw you made a lot of decks, so I net decked your decks, and I was like, oh, I gotta have these cards. And then I played with him for a while, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? I was like, I'm so sorry, brother.
That's really funny.
Yeah. What are some other really powerful effects? So another good example of like a deck that came out of nowhere is like when I think Studium Headmaster is just waiting to kind of be disruptive in some sort of way, right? Like if the greed decks are all over the meta, right? How do you next level your opponent? Like you mill their deck.
So Matt Oblivion has apparently been playing a version of Control Sorcerer lately. Work's been crazy, so I haven't been able to lurk in his broadcasts for a bit. But the other night when I was streaming, I ran into it, and I only know that it was like a version of his deck because chat was telling me, oh, that's Matt's deck. But the combo that he's been rocking in Control Sorcerer is Waves of the Fallen and Reverberating Strike.
Oh, that's
you turn them all into zombies and then you nuke them. And I like it for a couple of reasons. One, it'll clear anything. But two, in a world filled with the Journey Conscription combo, you're giving them subpar creatures, and they're all of the same type, so you're only going to get one of those back. Like,
that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I thought it was neat. Now, I still beat that deck, but...
Right.
But,
Waves of the Fallen's a good example of an incredibly powerful effect that doesn't see a lot of play. I mean, I have run into it a couple times. I don't think I've ever lost to it, but Waves of the Fallen is definitely a card to keep your eye on.
Ian Bit says, I know we don't like him, but that combo was a Kassedin thing. No, it's a Matt thing, and we will not ever publicly say anything otherwise. We will refuse to acknowledge or accept.
I think Kassedin was just actually indicted by Robert Mueller, so we don't need to worry about him anymore.
Yeah. So a long bit ago, Kaniak said, when do you think we're going to get the ability to buy all premium packs? I hope sooner rather than later. I actually really like that as an idea. Like, jack up the price or maybe make it only be purchasable with money for like people like me. But like, I would totally think that would be like a cool and just neat, like literally just like a basic pack or whatever, but just you guaranteed that it's all premiums. Like I think that's a kind of a cool idea.
I would totally agree. I'm going through all the cards right now again, and I'm looking at favorites, right? Like Torval Crook. I don't think we've seen the ultimate Torval Crook deck yet. I think that's an incredibly powerful effect. I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have seen it. There was on turn 4 or 5, I hit 18 Magicka in one turn with a Torval Crook. That's an incredibly powerful card that if you do, you can do really dumb shit with. I'm gonna go ahead and vouch for my boy Angry Grawl too. I still think Angry Grawl's a pretty reasonable card too. I think that any effects that allow you to, or give you benefits for overextending or discarding cards from your hand, I think Angry Brawl could be a player in that.
I think Angry Girl is interesting because it is a pretty like powerful card, but it like requires you to go so all in, and I just don't think it's resilient enough because like Regenerate performs so poorly in the current meta. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree.
If it had like Ward instead of Regenerate, then amazing, because that's like more survivable, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know. Like that is another card that like I want to love often, but
it feels like a victim of past iterations of how Regenerate worked.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What else? I saw something. Fearless Northlander. Fearless Northlander is a card I tried to make work like a year and a half ago, and I do think it's really, really, really strong. But it's, I don't know, like that's a card that like the self-injure warrior thing could take advantage of and has taken advantage of. I like Fearless Northlander, but I don't think the shell that it's any good in is good right now. But I can be mistaken. I mean, like, there's a lot of room for creativity here. I've always thought Riverhold Escort was kind of underrated.
My boy DTB, Dragon Tamer Blade, says Mage's Guild Retreat is almost really good. And I agree. That is another card that I've routinely tried to make work, along with Spider Lair. I think both of them are almost good.
What's crazy about Mage's Guild Retreat is that, like, it's as almost good on the ladder as it is in Creatureless Challenge, where you'd think it would be an all-star, but I've never really gotten a lot of success out of it.
Yeah, it's so difficult, and like it's almost exacerbated by the presence of Namira Shrine now, right? Like when you compare what Namira Shrine does,
that's true. That is definitely
I don't know what they need to do to shake it up. Maybe they add like 1 or 2 more Daedra to the pool that can be summoned for it. Maybe they reduce the cost. I'm not sure like how you make it just get a little bit over the hump, but
I wonder if Mage's Guild Retreat at 6 would just be like the most irritating thing in the world to play against.
Yeah. Or what if part of me wishes that they had like just different retreats for the different Daedra and you had consistency. Like maybe the problem with Mage's Guild Retreat in all honesty is just that like getting Flame Atronox sucks. Like if I was always going to get the 5/5 guard, for example, I would feel much better about that card.
Frost Retreat is a place I would hang out at.
Yeah.
Ian Bitts suggests East Empire Crafter. Yeah, I agree with that. East Empire Crafter is on the cusp of being hideously powerful, and every time it has an opportunity to it takes over the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's a good thing we just got brand new shiny Grizzly Gourmets to eat Empire Crafters.
That's true. We didn't even mention that, but that was a cool thing that they did with the alternate art. It's the first time that alternate art like that has been available like in any way like this.
Well, to be fair, we've also not had many months with the monthly rewards yet either. Like that's relatively recent development. It just doesn't feel that way because, you know, you have to go through like a whole month, right? So we've only collected like what 3 or 4 of them, but
that's true.
I wonder how much of that is based on our feedback. Not that I want to ring our own bell, but there was a time in October of last year when we had Pete Hines on the podcast, and you and I both were like, hey, how come we didn't do any Halloween events? Hey,
holy shit, I forgot about that. Hey,
we would really like more alternate art cards.
Yeah.
And then what happens? We get a, you know, holiday-themed alternate art card as a monthly reward.
Dude, that is a great point.
Yeah.
I'm taking credit for that now.
I'm not saying it was us. I'm just saying it was some
100%.
feedback that we provided direct.
Hey, Meromorphic talking about Grizzly Gourmet and Calm. Look, I think Calm is one of the most overrated. One of the most underrated cards in the game. 100%. I think Calm is good.
Kaniak wants to know if we've made a deck with High Hrothgar that has worked yet.
I went 6-3 in one of the regular gauntlets with mono purple using High Hrothgar.
Yeah, I have never even played High Hrothgar.
Yeah.
Because I just don't feel like there's enough to support the archetype yet. Like, I know that people have, and I know that you can get some cool highlights, but like, let's be honest, it just doesn't have enough yet.
No. Yeah, the problem with High Hrothgar and Titus Mead is that they're unique. And I really, really, really wish those effects were not unique.
Titus, I think, needs to be unique, if I'm being honest. I think that's a card that is, like, under...
Titus is so good.
Yeah, I think that card is maybe undervalued. I'm not saying that it's good, but I'm saying I think it's undervalued because he has such weak stats, but because it's end of turn, you're always getting at least something out of him, and if you don't have removal right away, he starts protecting himself on the board, right? You draw something with guard, and then you play it, and you know what I mean? Like, he's...
Yeah.
There's been a few times where I've played against him, and he was highly annoying if you don't have something right away.
Absolutely. Are there any other cards we think could have a good holiday-related alternate arts? That's a good question. Let's see here. What will be a good holiday? So what's coming up? They have to be non-religious holidays, right? So like, what?
I want alternate art, Jarl, and High King Emmerich, and some of the other royalty cards for President's Day.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Right, like the leaders.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. You have President's Day off? I do not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good question. Other holidays, non-religious holidays. Well, I think like a Thanksgiving themed holiday, or I mean, I know that's an American thing, but it's not particularly religious, although it's like low-key kind of historically awful. I could see something like that. But you know, so is Valentine's Day, I guess.
So I'm gonna say Memory Wraith for Memorial Day.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm gonna say, man, I don't know, maybe like Firebolt for 4th of July, something like fireworky.
Oh, I'd like to see it. Yeah, a unique Firebolt for the 4th of July would be interesting.
I'll say this, a piece of feedback I'd like to say publicly here, but I was going to like deliver it the next time I remembered. Something that I would really like to see. Gwent used to have these like these cards that were like 3-piece pieces of art, right? Like just like in Test Legends and Gwent, you can include up to 3 copies of certain cards in your deck, and they had certain ones that if you included, like the 3 Wild Hunt Riders, for example, there was like one where there was like one facing to the left, one that was like head on, and one that was to the right, and so when they were all next to each other, it created one like contiguous piece of art. I would like to see an alternate art version of some creatures that are like that, right? Yeah. Because I was thinking to myself in my head, right? We get these really cool things like alternate art piercing javelins and lightning bolts and whatever, but then you throw in the cool shiny alternate art ones and the old ones never get love. So I was trying to think of ways that you could promote actually running like a different copy of like alternate art stuff in your deck, and I think that like that would be really cool, right? So you know, 3 different Daggerfall mages or whatever, right? Like all doing something cool. I think that would be neat.
I like it.
Oh yeah, Kazoo Croc hits it. Mechanical Heart for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that'd be cool next year. Black Hand Messenger should have been giving out Valentines. That would have been cool too. Yeah. Actually, we have something we need to do with that still.
Dragon Tamer Blades suggests Falkreath Defiler for Day of the Dead. I'm gonna go with Night Talon Lord for Halloween.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that. Even like an alternate art Winter's Grasp would be cool, you know? Or like the Winter Solstice. Yeah,
that could be cool. You know what we should be getting, like we should have got today? In all honesty, we all should have got alternate art Barbus to celebrate Chinese New Year, Year of the Dog.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Is Legends available in China?
I don't even think it is, but
I don't think I. This is one of the things somebody asked on Reddit recently about if they would be able to play in Mongolia, and I checked and I have viewers on my channel from Mongolia, so I was like, well, people are watching the YouTube videos, so I assume they're playing the game.
you can't play in Mongolia because they have that Shi wall.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not sure that I'm not sure I have any viewers from China. I'm gonna check real quick. Germany, by the way, inching closer to 10% of my viewership, coming in second.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. 38% US, 9.7% German. Yeah, I don't see China on here at all. So I mean, I don't understand what politics are like in China. So maybe they're just not allowed on YouTube in general, which actually makes a lot of sense to me. Yep.
Those are all
snacksy. That makes sense.
And Jelly Bean.
Yeah. I mean, I love going down to the end of the list, right? Like, in the last 28 days, I've had viewers in Armenia, Kenya, Nigeria, El Salvador, Montenegro, Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, Azerbaijan.
Ooh, alternate art Hisgrove for Earth Day.
Oh, that's a really good idea. That is a really
Still
good
trying
idea.
to think about holidays. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I got really excited. Or like even Tree Minder would be cool, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I have viewers from the Sudan. That's insane. Oh wait, here's China. 6 minutes in the last 28 days. 6 minutes viewed, 2 views. Average view duration 3.14 minutes.
Yeah, I can actually tell you exactly what happened there.
Yeah. What's that?
Somebody broke through the Great Firewall of China, as it's called, to view one of your videos, and then the Chinese government showed up and arrested him for doing so, like 3 minutes in. But then one of the corrupt Chinese guys that was like locking him up was like, well, I kind of want to see what he was watching. So he watched for the other 3 minutes and went, this guy's nuts, and then just turned it off.
That sounds fair, dude.
Like
that sounds fair. I mean, like the YouTube like analytics stuff is fascinating to me. Like I can just get lost in here looking at all this stuff. It's pretty amazing.
It's weird. It's almost like you could do it for a day job, right?
I'm not nearly smart enough to know what to do with this information. Yeah, I mean, like I can tell you how I feel about it. But you know what's interesting though is I don't remember where I was. Well over half of my viewers are using ad blocker.
I'm surprised it's not more.
Yeah.
I actually don't use ad blocker. I'm one of the few.
Me either, man. And I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm super principled about it, but like I feel like why? Well, you know, I don't know. I just feel like that 5 seconds, if it helps somebody else, you know, in some way, it's like totally worth it.
I'm gonna be clear about something. I don't do this just because I'm a content creator either. Like I wasn't using ad blocker before. I don't use ad blocker because while most commercials like don't really affect me at all, there have been times where I've seen something on a Google pre-roll or whatever and went like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Absolutely.
Right? And so for me, it's like, all right, for that like 1 in 20 chance, if I'm going to learn something cool, then there we go.
I agree.
I have 2 people in chat saying Charmer is a communist. I am in the process of converting because somebody got me this great communist manifesto for Christmas.
Yeah. I did buy. I bought Charmer a Communist Manifesto and I bought some graphic novels, which are pretty anti-capitalist as well.
Yeah, the graphic novels, Tokyo Ghost, if you're not familiar, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I shared some out of context panels
Yeah.
on Twitter. I'm actually really enjoying it as I read through, but
Yeah, they're really interesting.
it's got some good writing. Here's an out of context one liner. This is one bubble, but it makes me laugh every time I read it. Right?
Yeah.
If you love killing the homeless, come on down to Creepy Daniel's Hobo Hunt.
Yeah, it's good shit. Transmetropolitan's great too, but I think we've talked about our love for that already. Didn't we?
Yeah, I think we.
I talked about getting high with the guy who illustrated it.
Yeah. We talked about that. Yeah. Here's what I shared on Twitter. Here's see if we can get this like visible. It's gonna be hard. So this panel right here, I don't know if you can see the text, but there's a guy like skateboarding toward Abraham Lincoln, but he's on like a hoverboard, and he says, "So fuck you, Abraham Lincoln," and Abraham Lincoln is saying in response, "Fourscore and holy balls."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good stuff though. Like comedy aside, it's actually a pretty decent read. So
this is all a consequence. I just want to remind everyone of Charmer giving me a fucking Bitcoin for Christmas.
Yeah. Another thing that I think we've talked about on stream before, but if you have not yet read it, I know Justin has, and he's also an Ellis fan as well. Trees is very good, and it's also illustrated by somebody that I know. Jason Howard, who lives locally. Jason Howard is, if you can see it, the person who did this Colossus piece of art for me back when I worked at the local comic and gaming shop. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good times, man. It's a beautiful world.
Yeah, I nerd out about games, but man, like I will nerd out about comics and movies and all sorts of stuff, as evidenced by the time we talked to Frank Lepore for like an hour about Marvel.
That's true. That's true. That is true. You know, something I want to ask Chad actually. Who do you guys want for us to have as a guest that we haven't had before? Or is there a guest that we have had that you guys really enjoyed and you want back? I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, we are still talking to some more people. We had one almost lined up for today. Actually, we had two almost lined up for today.
We had two almost lined up for today? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maricon? We get ignored every time we ask Maricon.
Yeah, Maricon will probably never be on the podcast because of me, unfortunately. I've driven Maricon away. It's almost a running joke at this point.
Yeah. I don't know if he's even allowed to do press for the game.
I know that he can in some points because he was a caster for one of the tournaments.
Alright, so it's just us.
Yeah, no, it's totally just us.
I don't know what we did to Maricon nickname. I went out for Mexican food with the guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Justin's like actually had lunch with him, but
like it went well. He just doesn't talk to us when we ask him.
I'm convinced it's me because like he'll talk to Justin, but me, anytime that I'm like, "Hey Maricon, you want to be on the podcast?" he stops talking. Anytime I'm like, "Hey Maricon, when are you gonna hire me for a designer job?" he stops talking. I applied to a data analytics position at Direwolf like a year and a half ago or something like that. I never heard any response whatsoever. Yeah. I assume it's just me, so...
Good times, man, good times.
Somebody says lazy gamer. We've actually talked about that.
Yeah, I actually think it might be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know some people are saying it as a joke, but...
yeah.
Justin and I have both acknowledged that all of our personal interactions with him have,
they've gone well,
been fine. So
seems like an alright dude.
We have actually talked about that, but
yeah, that'd be an interesting one. Oh, Furo is a good idea. I like Furo, and we talk semi often.
Yeah, the hardest thing with him is the same problem we had with Jelly, which is the time zone issue. But yes, I like Furo. I would like to have Furo on.
So to recap for people who maybe not tuned into every episode, we've had Frank Lepore, Pete Hines, Ray twice, Jelly, Ian Bitts, CVH. Is that it?
Yes, I believe that's it thus far.
Okay.
And we have our own personal list that we keep on the side that we're always trying to talk about, and then we've had some people reach out. Like, I have no problems with saying that the owner of the High King Emmerich,
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
channel has reached out, and that sounds like it might be a blast.
Yeah, I want him to be a guest on the show.
Yeah, so
I've been a fan of his work from day one, and actually, like, he was really nice and supportive back when I was starting off, and he
Yeah.
made the frames that I use on my channel.
no, he's a quality dude. So I look forward to that.
Yeah. Oh, Malibu Barber brings up Beaky. We actually have talked to Beaky a little bit. He is interested in appearing at some point.
Yep, we have reached out to him. Matt is a good choice, but again, the biggest problem with Matt is the time zone issue. But Matt would be great.
LSV would be a fantastic guest. I would like to do that.
Maybe? I don't know. I might be too intimidated to talk to him.
Dude, when I met him, like, I stuck out my hand and I was like, I'm a huge fan. Like, that's all I could get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Finkel? I don't know that he plays this game. Don Finkel?
Finkel is Einhorn, I thought. Einhorn is Finkel?
That took me a minute. Yeah, you're right. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
You should have Justin Larson on. No, dude, that guy brings the show down, especially in the second half. Although this time I've gone the other direction. I started to warm up as the show goes on because I needed this in my life today.
We're probably actually not gonna ever have Justin Larson on, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but him and I don't get along.
Oh,
like,
no,
we don't
not at
talk
all.
about it in public, but
Right.
he thinks like that I am a self-entitled douche, and I think that I am a self-entitled nihilist douche, and we cannot come to an agreement, and thus we don't talk. We just send hate mail to each other.
Absolutely. Trouble in paradise. Yeah, it sucks when mom and dad fight. Yeah, I think that Sody Mag would be a great guest. I agree. So we got a couple people asking for Beaky. Somebody mentions Bradford Lee. I don't think Bradford's played this game in a long time. I think he just lurks in the Reddit so he can talk shit randomly. I will admit, though, every interaction I ever had with Brad went well for me. Like, I thought Brad was nice.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sorry. I was like, that wasn't. I realized. let me preface, like, that was me going yeah to something in my head and not at all to do with Bradford Lee. I've only ever had great interactions personally with Bradford Lee as well, and I don't want that. That was not it. In my head, I was going, who are other people that I'd like to have on? And then in my head, I was like, well, The Adventures of Dust would be cool. You Can Call Me Al would be cool. And then, like, I was going through the list and I was like, yeah, and it just came out verbally at the wrong time. Yeah.
How about some of those non-Elder Scrolls Legends casters?
River Yowie.
Spanish drop guy? I mean, we might be able to make that work. I speak a little Spanish. Hola.
Can we buy a mic first? Maybe. I just need a new setup, period, but we can get him one too.
I'm using the same headphones and microphone I bought at Target for $20 a year, almost like over a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
I did upgrade my webcam. That was one of my goals, like the posted goals on the Patreon. And I followed through on that. Yakiniku Party says, by the way, Justin, I might have something for you come April 1st. I would love a good April 1st deck. I already have my meme video planned for April 1st. It's not funny, and it's going to be about 30 seconds long, but I could use an actual video. Como se dice rebroadcast? Es falso. Rancid.
I'll say this about Dust. Playing Fortnite with him was a revelation.
Oh yeah, what was that like?
Oh, I mean, I enjoy Fortnite and it's already a lot of fun, but then I was playing it with Ian and Griffin Grasp and Dust one night, and like all of us died except for Dust, and he was like trying to avenge us, and he starts like getting into this part where he's like building a stairway to heaven basically, and as he's going he runs too fast before he finishes like building a set of stairs and just falls to his death. Like,
That's awesome.
He survived the big team fight to win, and then just dies to him falling, and it was incredibly funny.
Oh yeah. Dude, the very first time I streamed, I don't know if you guys remember this, like before I got my internet upgraded, I cat sat for this friend of Sanders and mine, that went to Germany for a couple weeks. We watched his cats, and as payment, he bought Sandra a nice meal. He bought us a nice meal, but he let us stream at his house for a few hours. And that was the first time I ever streamed, and because he had better internet than I did. I was playing. Sandra and I were playing Super Smash Brothers with him. That's like the Street Fighter kind of like 4-player game, right? Yeah, on his Wii or whatever. And I had no idea how to play these games. I didn't have a console or anything growing up, and I was playing Yoshi because I recognized the character, and I got these wings, and like I was like, oh, I've been chosen. I've been called by God. God is taking back his favorite angel. So I just flew off the screen and I just killed myself. And that was the last time that this guy's name's Richard, that Richard ever let me play those fucking games with him.
That is funny.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but I believe it's pronounced Chungito. In chat asks, what about Mega Mogwai? He seemed to enjoy Legends while Gwent was unbearable. I actually like Mog. I didn't realize he was playing Legends during his break, but speaking to that, I also interact with on a semi-regular basis Merchant, who, if you're not familiar, he's big in the Gwent community, but he started playing Legends. Like, he was playing in closed beta, and he made some content for this a long time ago, and I know that he still plays at least casually from time to time, so like Merchant could be...
That'd be a cool guest.
You know, a fun guest as well, so...
Yeah. That would be a good guest. He seems like a cool dude, too.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude.
Shockingly quite a bit younger than us, but...
Yeah, you notice, like, he shaved recently. You notice when he doesn't have the beard exactly how young he is.
Yeah, I was really surprised. That'd be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's safe to say that like our list isn't exactly short. Like, we got a lot of people we'd still like to have on.
Right.
And since Maricon's never going to do the show, we'll probably always have a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to do that thing we were talking about doing before we got distracted by something recently. A couple weeks ago.
Which one? I've talked about a lot of things.
That thing where we send something.
Oh, that thing. Okay, not the thing where we go back through all of our old videos to capture Maricon's voice and then create a soundboard to make it sound like we interview him. But the other thing that we talked about.
That's the thing where I had to call Costco and ask about something.
Yes, that one. We should do that soon.
Absolutely. Oh, thanks, Buckeye Czar. That's really cool to hear. I try to keep it fun. Once I stopped trying hard and I started trying to have fun, I really got the hang of how to do this. LMAO. I've seen him playing a lot lately. I don't know anything about him. Seems like a bro. Wayne McPain, that's awesome to hear, dude.
He's in Ella, bro.
Don't have ad blocker? That's cool. You guys can turn on ad blocker if you want to. I mean, like,
it's always heartwarming when I see like, hey, this person got me into the game. This person's, you know, like, I always love seeing that stuff. Mostly because someday somebody will say that about me.
I almost quit this game because I hate you.
I know. And I know that there was a period where you almost quit this game because of like things that I helped proliferate on the ladder.
That is true. That is true. You also tried to convince me to play Gwent like a year ago. I got my Gwent closed beta key from TVP, who was on the original Team Prophecy with me.
Yeah.
But you were up there with him, telling me all the time about how I needed to try Gwent.
Yeah, Gwent is fun. I just can't play it for long periods.
Look, I logged in maybe a week or two ago, for the first time in like 6 months. I played a game with the same dwarf deck that I had from forever ago, and a lot of the cards didn't work the same way, but I still won the one game, and I was like, all right, I've done my part for this last 6 months. I'm done for Gwent for a while. If I had the skill, I'd go through your videos and compile a Larson Laugh compilation, but I have no idea how to do that. That's good times. Thanks, man. I do like to laugh. Gwent is bad and they should feel bad. Look, Gwent should feel good because it's not as bad as Hand of the Gods.
Oh my god, I just realized exactly what I'm gonna do for my side project.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So like, I have this coworker who loves to Photoshop things. Previous coworker. And one time we went to this work convention and he, without me knowing at the time, took a bunch of photos of me when I was like frowning or like doing things. Like he would just catch me at just the right moment to make it look like I was utterly miserable. And then he took those photos and photoshopped me into like places that would make the face like match or whatever. So like it'd be like me frowning and like in prison, or like there was one time where he caught me and I was like sitting down and I must have been like lost in thought or something, but I had like this scowl on my face. And so he took that and photoshopped it as if I was like sitting across from Chris Hansen on To Catch a Predator, right? Like fun stuff like that. And it occurs to me that as joyful as you are, that I could maybe do the same thing if we were to ever spend time near each other in the near future.
That would be pretty cool if that were to happen for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm working on a piece of art real quick for you.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah. Are you ready for this?
Yes, Soldier On. I'm aware that I have a gallows sense of humor. That's not the first time that you've called me out tonight for saying something, but I can't help it. I cope with the absurdity of life by just kind of chuckling at how absurd it is, and that's, as juvenile as that may be, that's just the way it's going to be until I die.
There we go. I used some of my impressive art skills to do a little Photoshop business of my own.
Do you even have Photoshop?
No.
Wait. Do you even have GIMP, which is like the open source version of Photoshop?
No. Everything I make, I do in
MS Paint?
Yeah.
Yes! But I knew it!
All of the thumbnails Sandra makes, she makes with something called PixArt.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's all paint, dude. Come on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that from a Ziggy comic?
That is a Ziggy comic.
I know. It was mostly a joke because like the picture of my face is so big on that body, it's like just Ziggy's legs underneath. I was just poking fun.
Perfectly fucking proportional, bro. Yeah, absolutely. Now paint's legit, man.
I mean, paint's alright, but like once I figured out and like how to use GIMP, like I have Photoshop too because I get it at a discount for being a professor, and I also use my like subscription for the editing software I do. But for a long time, I just only used GIMP, and I was entirely fine with it. Like it's a great piece of open source software. So
that's fair. Ah, good times. I'm gonna go see Black Panther tomorrow.
I'm hoping I get to go see it. You hear that, Tyler?
Yeah, fucking Tyler.
Fucking Tyler. Oh, and I just got... Damn it, Tyler, you just got my video demonetized. Fucking Tyler.
Really? Oh, dude, speaking of demonetized videos, so that 4.5 minute long ad video that I made, it was instantly demonetized when I uploaded it. I applied for, I requested a review and it was remonetized about 5 minutes later. And then after about 1,000 views, it was demonetized again. I requested another review just because I found this really entertaining and I didn't expect the video to be monetized in the first place.
Yeah.
I requested another review and it got remonetized again today.
I wonder if it got re-demonetized because somebody reported it, right?
100%. 100%. I speak in Russian and make fun of Fox News in that video.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey guys, if it seems like that podcast cut off at a weird spot, it's because it did. I had another computer blue screen on me, so the podcast cut off a little bit earlier than normal. So this is me apologizing and clarifying why it sounds like it just kind of cuts off in the middle of a conversation. This month has been kind of plagued with technical issues, and for that I really apologize. My computer is old, it's like 7 years old, and though I've replaced parts and upgraded and done those things, we're at the part where it's just kind of on its last leg. So I'm trying to save some money and put it aside so that we can upgrade the rig here in the near future and hopefully get rid of this. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching / listening to this video or this podcast, depending on how you're consuming it, and making it this far to hear the apology. So yeah, as always, I love you, Justin loves you, and until next time, may you guys all walk on warm sands, or as Justin says, we'll see you on the ladder.